Chapter 91 The Soul Summoning Bell. Counterattack. Junior brother, please make a decision quickly, we cannot delay any longer. Otherwise, when that old bastard Yuda arrives, we'll all be dead. Luo Yu urged He Pingxing. He Pingxing thought carefully for a few breaths and said, "Okay. Senior sister, let's go together." After saying that, He Pingxing took out a snow-white, teleportation jade talisman from his treasure bag. Just about to be inspired. At this moment, Luo Yu also reached into her treasure bag and took out an item. That wasn't a jade talisman, but a golden bell. The bell was already activated when it was taken out. With lightning speed, Luo Yu shook He Pingxing violently. At this moment, a golden light shield suddenly appeared around He Pingxing's body. Spell, Vajra Shield. In fact, He Pingxing had been on guard against Luo Yu for a long time. Although Luo Yu's story was flawless from beginning to end, he still found loopholes in it. So you're trying to escape? Why did you have to escape after entering the secret realm? Wouldn't it be better to escape early? Why wait for Yuda to arrive before leaving? Couldn't you have escaped while Linglong was still alive? Joke. Therefore, He Pingxing had always been on guard. He also knew that Luo Yu would definitely launch an attack the instant he activated the teleportation talisman. Why? Because this is the only moment when He Pingxing is at his lowest level of vigilance. However, this was precisely when He Pingxing was at his most vigilant. The golden spiritual energy within his body had long been surging and ready to be unleashed. When He Pingxing saw that Luo Yu had not taken out a jade talisman, he immediately activated his defense. However, he miscalculated. He had calculated the timing of Luo Yu's attack, but he hadn't calculated the method of her attack. Ring ring ring. 3 bells rang, and a golden beam of light, unimpeded by any defense, easily passed through the diamond shield, and struck He Pingxing's head. At that moment, He Pingxing felt like his head was about to explode. But at that moment, he understood, a mental attack. The weapon the opponent was using was actually a magical artifact capable of attacking a person's divine sense. He Pingxing's face turned pale, and then his vision went dark. He swayed unsteadily and then collapsed to the ground. Luo Yu, holding a golden bell, smiled slightly. That's right, she was scheming from the very beginning. Just now, when she and Linglong were ganging up on He Pingxing, she deliberately didn't put in any effort. On the one hand, it ensures that He Pingxing can kill the rest of the people. On the other hand, it's about winning He Pingxing's favor and trust. Luo Yu is a smart person, incredibly smart. Ever since she learned that He Pingxing was the handyman from back then, she was convinced that He Pingxing had some extraordinary secret. Otherwise, how could a handyman disciple with no background or sect suddenly become a cultivator at the 5th level of chi refining, and then an alchemist? Absolutely not. Without a great secret or a powerful artifact, this would be almost impossible. Therefore, the different people had different attitudes toward He Pingxing. Yuda feared that He Pingxing would grow up, so he wanted to kill him in his infancy. Linglong hates He Pingxing and wants to kill him. Luo Yu, however, only wanted to obtain the secrets of He Pingxing. It's that simple. Junior brother I didn't want to kill you. Luo Yu looked calmly at the golden bell in her hand and muttered to herself, "But you are just too powerful. I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to subdue you using ordinary methods, so I had no choice but to use this soul summoning bell. With your mere 7th level of chi refining, your divine sense is bound to be weak. You won't even suffer a painful death this time. Heh! Let me see what secrets you have. Once I get the secret you possess, I can leave this place. From this day forward, I will roam freely throughout the world." Hehehe. Luo Yu put away the golden bell, took a step forward, and walked to He Pingxing's side. Just as he was about to crouch down to search, he suddenly saw He Pingxing open his eyes. A snow-white ice arrow was launched from his right hand. Puff! Without any warning, Luo Yu was pierced through the body by the ice arrow. Red blood stained her dress. Then, the ice arrow suddenly exploded. Luo Yu was reduced to countless fragments. On the other side, at Taishu Gate, Shouju Peak. In a magnificent hall of Hongda Garden, the Jade Virtue Master sat on a lotus platform carved from noble spiritual wood, a sharp glint flashing in his eyes. "Look again!" he shouted loudly. The two disciples in front of him quickly stood up and hurriedly ran to the back of the main hall. Behind this main hall, there is a place where the disciples' life-bound jade tablets are kept. Just now, the life tablets of several disciples in Hongda Garden were shattered, which enraged Yuda. However, after about a dozen breaths, the jade tablet in the main hall cracked again, and another life tablet shattered. "Master! Wah! Master! Something terrible has happened. Master! Senior Sister Linglong, her jade pendant is broken. Wah!" Yuda's face was dark. His dark face was filled with anger and boundless sorrow. He once had a son who was a gentleman who was very polite to everyone he met. This son was also once named one of the 4 young masters of the Taishu sect. This chapter is not finished. Please click the next page to continue reading. Unfortunately, his son was short-lived and lacked good fortune. He lost his life in an accident more than 10 years ago. From then on, Yuda only had his granddaughter for company. This granddaughter is his lifeblood, his only bloodline. However, today this granddaughter also died. Without saying a word, he stood up abruptly and stepped out of the hall. After leaving Hongda Garden, Master Yuda headed towards Yuning Palace behind it. Soon, he met Master Yuning. "What's wrong, senior brother?" Yuning asked, looking at her second senior brother's angry and pained expression. Yuda said, "Linglong is dead." "What?" Yuning was startled when she heard this. Yuda said, "Xianxia is also dead. Of the disciples from Hongda Garden who entered the secret realm this time, including Linglong, 4 have died. How is your Jade Tranquility Palace doing right now?" Yuda stared at Yuning. Yuning went to the back herself to take a look and said, "Everything's all right, all the disciples are here." Yuda felt even worse. Yuning said, "Senior brother, the people from Hongda Garden and the people from Yuning Palace should not travel together." "I understand." Yuda nodded and said, "I must go and see for myself." After saying that, he flicked his sleeves and left Yuning Palace. After leaving Yuning Palace, Yuda leaped into the void and flew on his flying sword, heading towards the distant secret realm. Previously, Elder Jin Dan Xianxia used a flying boat to carry everyone, and it took a long time to arrive. But this time was different. Yuda was flying on his sword, and he was all alone. So in less than 2 hours, he landed on the plaza at the entrance of the secret realm. "Uncle Master." Upon seeing true person Xianxia, Yuda respectfully bowed. Chapter 92 Soul-Destroying Bell. The wind is howling. A huge paper crane swept across the sky. A cultivator sat atop the paper crane. It was He Pingsheng. He had previously used his last bit of divine power to activate the talisman and kill Luo Yu. Then he fainted. When he woke up again, several hours had passed, so He Pingsheng didn't dare to crush the teleportation talisman and leave the secret realm. Because it's highly likely that Yuda is already waiting at the entrance of the secret realm. He Pingsheng struggled to control the paper crane, his head throbbing so badly it felt like it was going to split open. Large beads of sweat dripped down his forehead. "Call out." The paper crane, which was in flight, lost its balance and fell sideways from the void. They almost crashed into a cliff and a huge rock on the side of the mountain. "Ah!" He Pingsheng endured the excruciating pain and forcibly steered the paper crane across the cliff before landing in the deep valley on the opposite side. The valley is deep and secluded, with a small river flowing through it. At the bend of the river, there is a deep cave entrance that leads directly into the mountainside. He Pingsheng had no desire to travel any further at this moment. His spiritual power was almost exhausted, so he had no choice but to drag his tired body into the cave. Once he reached the cave, he had only one thought: to sleep. She fell into a deep sleep. However, he knew he couldn't sleep. With his current level of spiritual power, setting up an array was impossible. He could only temporarily grab a few boulders to block the cave entrance, then collapsed to the ground and fell fast asleep. That's right, He Pingsheng's divine sense was injured, and the injury was serious. If he hadn't cultivated the mysterious gate tranquility true technique, a spiritual cultivation method that made his divine sense stronger than that of ordinary qi refining stage cultivators, he would have had his divine sense collapse long ago when Luo Yu ambushed him with her golden bell. That golden bell is just too powerful. The closer the distance, the greater the destructive power. It specifically targets and harms people's divine thoughts. Fortunately, it's all over now. He Pingxing lay in the dark and damp cave, sleeping for 3 days and 3 nights without knowing day or night, before finally waking up. When he woke up, his head was still throbbing with a splitting pain. But I feel a little better now than when I was first attacked. He Pingxing took a deep breath, enduring the headache, before turning his head to look at the cave where he was staying. The entrance to the cave is very small, only a few feet in diameter, but the inside is very spacious, about several meters wide, almost the size of a large house. Moreover, there is an even deeper, more secluded entrance behind this cave, leading into the depths of the mountain. However, the opening was far too small, only about a foot wide, to allow anyone to squeeze through. Therefore, He Pingxing had no idea how deep the opening was, but icy air constantly spewed out, turning into a chilling wind that blew against his skin, sending shivers down his spine. He Pingxing took out several fire attribute spirit stones from his storage bag and casually tossed them on the ground. Instantly, fire attribute spiritual energy burst forth, blowing away the dampness in the cave. He Pingxing then took out a futon, water, some pills, and other items from his storage bag. Then, his brows furrowed. With less than 10 days left before the end of this secret realm exploration, it's almost impossible to go out and search for treasure now. He Pingxing doesn't even have the ability to control paper cranes, let alone use magic to fight others, so he loses the means to compete for any treasures. Fine, I'll just wait here. By now, that old bastard Yuda should already be waiting at the entrance to the secret realm, right? He Pingxing muttered to himself, frowning. Therefore, it's impossible to crush the teleportation talisman now, otherwise, death is certain. What should we do then? Even if we don't leave now, we'll still have to leave when the secret realm ends. Won't we all die in the same way then? While pondering, He Pingxing waved his hand again and took out 2 items from his storage bag. A talisman, a disguised talisman. A book, The True Secrets of Tranquil Mind in the Mysterious School. He Pingxing had already devised a plan for his escape. First, he would cultivate the Xianmen Tranquility True Technique to slightly restore his divine sense. Although he couldn't fully restore it, he would restore as much as he could. After we get out, we'll collect materials and spiritual herbs to figure out how to refine that second-grade pill, the healing spirit pill. Before the secret realm closes, disguise yourself and then go out. However, it's uncertain whether disguising himself will allow him to evade the search by a Foundation establishment cultivator like Yuda. In short, it's all about fate. If you can't escape it, then fight for survival. If you've escaped, then you've escaped to safety. He Pingxing closed his eyes and began to practice the mysterious gate tranquility true technique. As soon as I started cultivating, a sharp pain came from my mind, so painful that it was almost unbearable. But he knew this was normal. Pain is essential for repairing one's spiritual power. Despite the excruciating pain, He Pingxing continued to circulate the Xianmen Tranquility True Technique. Before I knew it, a day had passed. His spiritual senses recovered slightly. As night fell and the moonlight rose, He Pingxing quickly took out the treasure basin and then threw the small golden bell into it. This golden bell is the soul summoning bell that Luo Yu used to ambush him before. The soul summoning bell is a low-grade, spiritual artifact, with 5 layers of restrictions. This delighted He Pingxing, since he didn't yet possess any treasures of the spiritual weapon level. I wonder if putting this magical artifact into the treasure basin will enhance it to a top-grade magical artifact. This chapter is not finished. Please click the next page to continue reading. Give it a try. He Pingxing placed the treasure basin behind him, and then used the wisp of soul power he had just recovered to create a defensive formation in the cave. In this way, there's no need to worry about monsters or humans coming. With everything in place, He Pingxing continued to sit cross-legged on the futon, cultivating the mysterious gate tranquility true technique, to recover from the damage to his spiritual power. Soon, the night passed. When Pingxing opened his eyes the next morning, he found that his divine sense had been repaired to some extent. To put it simply, I don't have a headache anymore. However, his spiritual power was still very weak, roughly equivalent to the first level of the Qi refining stage. They are still unable to break through the physical constraints and unleash their full potential. A full recovery in the short term is impossible. Pingxing turned his head and looked at the treasure basin behind him. As expected, the treasure in the treasure basin increased from 1 to 2. Yesterday evening, a golden bell was thrown in, but now it has turned into a small, earth-yellow clock and a red rattle. Pingxing first reached out and picked up the small, earth and yellow bell. Although his divine sense is extremely weak now, he can still probe this treasure. The small clock has a very high-quality feel. Grade: top-grade spiritual weapon. Restriction: 8 layers. Name: soul-destroying bell. Function: after being refined, this bell can be infused with magical power to launch a divine thought attack. The closer the distance, the stronger the attack. Pingxing was overjoyed. Previously, he was worried that his treasure basin wouldn't be able to upgrade the magical artifact to the highest grade. In hindsight, it was an overreaction. It is an absolute top-grade item, possessing 8 layers of restrictions. That means that if this thing were fully refined, its power in a single strike would be far greater than that of the previous soul-summoning bell. Chapter 93: The Ice Extreme Sex Pursuit. This is a magical artifact. In the cultivation world, magical artifacts are strictly classified into different levels. For low-level cultivators, the treasures they use, from lowest to highest level, are magic artifacts, mainly used by Qi refining stage disciples, spiritual artifacts, used by foundation establishment stage cultivators, and magic treasures, used by golden core stage cultivators. These 3 levels. Of course, further up the hierarchy, there are also magical artifacts used by cultivators at the nascent soul stage and above. Although Pingxing knew a little about them, he had never actually seen them. He had never even seen a nascent soul stage cultivator, let alone their magical artifacts. And now, he possesses a top-grade spiritual artifact. Even foundation establishment cultivators cannot possess this. If, by sheer chance, a great deal of magical power is infused into it and the bell is rung at a foundation establishment cultivator, the cultivator's divine sense will be blown away. Pingxing even considered how to use the soul-destroying bell to deal with Yu De. But then I thought better of it. The soul-destroying bell can certainly deal with Yu De. After all, it is a top-grade spiritual artifact. The key issue is that it hasn't been refined yet, and Pingxing himself is too weak, lacking the magical power to unleash the full potential of this golden bell. Therefore, even if he refines it, he may not be able to deliver a fatal blow to Yu De. Forget it. Let's not even think about going head-to-head with Yu De. Avoiding him and hiding is the best strategy. After putting away the soul-destroying bell, Pingxing took out the red rattledrum from the treasure basin. This rattledrum is about the size of a palm, and its entire body is covered in an eerie crimson red. It looks like an evil artifact no matter how you look at it. The crimson drum body is adorned with countless grey patterns. Pingxing's hand trembled slightly. Unfortunately, no sound was made. The 2 drumsticks connected on the top of the rattledrum are almost completely still, as if they were welded together. Pingxing knew that it wasn't welded shut, but rather that no magical power was being inputted into it, and it hadn't been refined, so it couldn't be shaken to make a sound. A wisp of divine thought attached itself to the rattledrum, and soon, the information about the drum emerged. Grade: top-grade spiritual weapon. Restriction: 8 layers. Name: the Drum of the Gods. Function: a magical artifact for attacking the mind. It must be refined with one's own blood. After successful blood refinement, magical power is infused into it. When shaken, it makes a sound that can disrupt the opponent's mind. To put it bluntly, this treasure is exactly the same as the soul-destroying bell. Both are magical artifacts that use divine sense to attack. The difference is that the soul-destroying bell needs to be refined, while the God-shaking drum is not a conventional refining method. It requires blood refining. What is blood refinement? It involves soaking and refining the substance in one's own blood. There are specific methods for refining treasures with blood, but He Pingxing did not understand them. Therefore, the shock god drum is currently unusable. It's unusable, so it's better to just put it away. After putting them away, He Pingxing took out several more treasure bags. These were the spoils he had collected after killing Linglong and the other three, and he hadn't had a chance to look at them yet. It's time to take stock. Splash, splash. Without any hesitation, He Pingxing dumped all the items from the 4 treasure bags out at once. The most eye-catching item is naturally the spirit stone. Of the 4, Linglong had the most spirit stones, over 2,000, followed by Luoyu with over 1,000, and the other 2 male disciples had a combined total of 1,000. It's almost 5,000 yuan. It's out. It's out. Putting everything else aside, just look at these spirit stones, they're absolutely going to make a fortune. He Pingxing put all the spirit stones into his storage bag in one go. Only after putting them in the storage bag did I have time to look at the other items. Various bottles of pills. He Pingxing glanced at them and found that almost all of them were qi gathering pills. There's no other way. This is exactly what qi refining stage disciples need most during their cultivation. Put it away. If you upgrade them a bit, they'll all be top tier. Besides elixirs, there were also some spiritual herbs. There were 70 or 80 second-grade spiritual herbs, and even more first-grade spiritual herbs, totaling 300 or 400. Besides these things, there were also things like the claws and hides of some monsters. These items can also be sold at the Chamber of Commerce for a few spirit stones. Besides that, there were some jade slips. He Pingxing glanced at the jade slips. They were practically useless to him. Because he now possesses cultivation techniques based on all 5 elements: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, and all of them are heaven-rank techniques, there is no need for him to learn others. As for magic, there's no need to learn it. He has enough spells now. Finally, there are precious artifacts. Several flying swords, an iron rod, an iron fan, and a few poison needles. These are just ritual implements. There's nothing particularly special about them. Put it away. He planned to go back to Matushan Market and sell all these magical artifacts at once. After finishing everything, He Pingxing swallowed a Bigu pill, and then circulated the Xianmen Tranquility True technique, again to begin restoring his spiritual power. I don't know how much time passed, but suddenly I heard a noise outside. He Pingxing suddenly became alert. His brows furrowed tightly. If he were attacked at this moment, he would be completely powerless to fight back. No. Ignoring the noise outside, He Pingxing quickly took out 5 mid-grade spirit stones and replaced the 5 low-grade spirit stones supporting the formation. Once the spirit stones are exchanged, the formation becomes unbreakable. Call. He Pingxing breathed a sigh of relief. The sounds outside became clearer and clearer. A man with a lewd expression said, "Junior Sister Qiao, this isn't fun anymore. My dear reader, there's more to, even more exciting content awaits. I am the senior disciple of the Ice Extreme sect, the pride of the entire sect, he. We will definitely succeed in building our foundation within 10 years. Besides, my Ice Extreme sect is the #1 sect in this Dao Xian alliance. For you to form a marriage alliance with us is an honor for you. Since we are engaged, we are truly Daoist partners. Now that things have come to this, are you still unwilling to be with me?" At this moment, a woman was heard panting heavily, saying, "Xiao Bufan, you are despicable and shameless, turn back." I. Once I leave this secret realm, I will tell my grandmaster what happened here. I will definitely cancel the engagement with you." Upon hearing this voice, He Pingxing's brows twitched sharply. He knew that voice all too well. Isn't that the voice of Qiao Huizhu, a disciple of Qianfu Mountain? The sound seems a bit off. Ha 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 ha. Xiao Bufan's smug laughter rang out. He said, "If you're so capable, why don't you get out of here? Junior Sister Qiao, haven't you grasped the situation yet? Today, we've already made a fait accompli. Once we leave, the deed is done and the die is cast. If Qianfu Mountain doesn't agree, can they afford to lose face? Don't worry, you'll never escape my grasp in this lifetime. Xiao Bufan, give me back my teleportation jade talisman. Xiao Huizhu said again, give it back to me, and I can pretend that what happened today never happened. Otherwise, even if I become a ghost, I will not give you my body. Become a ghost. Xiao Bufan's voice suddenly turned sinister. Try it, even if you become a ghost, I'm still going to deal with you today. Xiao Huizhu could no longer hold back. You beast! To He Pingxing, the two men's voices were getting louder and louder. Clearly, they are approaching their cave entrance. Chapter 94 Dao Talisman. He Pingxing was about to vomit blood. No way, what a coincidence. Please don't discover my little cave. Otherwise I'm finished. As for the meaning conveyed in the conversation between Xiao Bufan and Xiao Huizhu, He Pingxing didn't quite understand. I couldn't understand many parts of it. He now only asks that the two of them leave as soon as possible. You can do whatever you want. Just don't find me. However, just as He Pingxing was hoping the two would leave, the stone at the entrance of the cave was suddenly pushed over with a crash. A figure slipped through the hole. Xiao Bufan, don't you dare come in. Xiao Huizhu's voice rang out. I still have many talismans in my hand. If you dare to come in, I'll make sure you die in this cave. In reality, Xiao Huizhu had no other choice. She knew that once she entered the cave, she would be trapped like a turtle in a jar. But she is now poisoned, and the effects have already begun. If they don't enter this cave and fight to the death, they will inevitably fall into Xiao Bufan's clutches. The key point is that when she entered the cave, she clearly sensed the breathing of a cultivator inside, indicating that there were people inside. Since there are people around, we can ask for help. The worst outcome is death. Since we're going to die anyway, we might as well fight to the death. To Xiao Huizhu's surprise, she found a defensive formation after entering the cave. Very nice. The defensive array was transparent from the outside, and her gaze could just see He Pingxing. It's you. Xiao Huizhu's cheeks flushed red as she pressed herself against the light membrane of the defensive array. Junior brother, save me, save me. With a wry smile, He Pingxing waved his hand, opening a crack in the formation to let Xiao Huizhu in. Huff, huff, huff. Xiao Huizhu was hunched over, a long sword in her hand resting on the ground. Her cheeks were flushed, and her eyes were slightly dazed. The breath exhaled from his mouth and nose carried a hint of sweetness, settling around He Pingxing. It smells wonderful. Are you poisoned? He Pingxing asked. Xiao Huizhu dropped her long sword with a clatter. Please, help me block that beast outside. If you can't hold on, then kill me with one sword. Huff, huff. As Xiao Huizhu spoke, she was panting heavily. Junior brother, water, is there any water? Cold water is best. Believe it or not, He Pingxing actually had this thing. To be on the safe side, he always keeps a lot of water in his storage bag. With a wave of his hand, he took out a large gourd from his storage bag and said, Senior sister, water, here you go. Xiao Huizhu hugged the gourd and gulped down a few mouthfuls, then splashed all the water over her head. The icy water flowed down her hair and neck, instantly soaking her clothes. Her exquisitely slender figure made He Pingxing's mouth go dry. He swallowed hard a few times, then asked with some confusion, Senior sister Xiao, what's wrong with you? Xiao Huizhu said, I'm not going to say it. I'm poisoned. He Pingxing said, Is this heat poisoning? I have some here. He was about to say that he had a good antidote. After all, the storage bag also contained 2 large gourds of tiger-striped golden bee elixir. However, at this moment, Xiao Bufan, who had been staggering outside the cave entrance for several breaths, finally made up his mind and stepped into the cave. Damn it! He cursed loudly, how dare you lie to me? Originally, he was worried that Xiao Huizhu had really put up a talisman, so he lingered at the entrance of the cave for a while. But when he entered the cave, he did not find any talisman. Hey! Upon seeing the light membrane of a defensive formation, Xiao Bufan's eyes shot out 2 beams of light. He stared at He Pingxing and waved his hand, summoning a magical artifact. A superior magical flying sword. Cut. Xiao Bufan was at the 12th level of the Qi refining stage, just one step away from entering the foundation establishment stage. The power of his strike was far greater than any attack He Pingxing had ever seen before. He Pingxing was even afraid that he would destroy his great formation with a single sword strike. Boom! The sword light, over 10 feet long, struck He Pingxing's formation with a fierce blow. The array's light membrane dimmed slightly, then quickly brightened again. He Pingxing's anxiety finally subsided. Don't worry. Formations are a very interesting thing. If he can withstand one of your attacks, he can withstand 10, 100, and so on. Of course, this is all predicated on a sufficient energy supply. He Pingxing's formation uses 5 mid-grade spirit stones. Even if Xiao Bufan attacks relentlessly for a year without eating or drinking, the spiritual energy in these 5 mid-grade spirit stones might not be depleted. Then it can't be broken. Unless he increases his attack power. Again. Slash, slash, slash. Unconvinced, Xiao Bufan drew his sword, unleashed all his magical power, and slashed fiercely at He Pingxing's defensive array. But no matter what, it just couldn't be broken. Once the light on the formation dimmed, it would light up again in less than a breath. How do we fight this? Damn it! Xiao Bufan cursed, it's actually a top-grade formation. At the same time, he was also getting anxious. If the formation cannot be broken, it will be very troublesome once the effects of the medicine on Xiao Huizhu wear off. My dear reader, there's more to, even more exciting content awaits. Xiao Bufan is the #1 Qi refining cultivator in the Ice Extreme Immortal sect, the #1 sect in the Dao Xian Alliance, while Xiao Huizhu is the #1 Qi refining cultivator in Qianfu Mountain. The two were a perfect match, both talented and beautiful, and were engaged. It should have been a wonderful thing. However, Xiao Bufan heard that Xiao Huizhu seemed very dissatisfied with the engagement and had the intention to break it off. If a woman breaks off the engagement, where will Xiao Bufan put his face? Besides, Xiao Huizhu is known as the most beautiful young woman in the Dao Xian Alliance. If such a woman were to slip through his fingers, Xiao Bufan's Dao heart would become unstable. So after entering the secret realm, he took the opportunity of talking with Xiao Huizhu to secretly drug her. In Xiao Bufan's mind, once the good deed was done, no matter what Xiao Huizhu did, the die was cast. You're mine now. Are you afraid I'll call off the wedding? But now that the drug has been administered, if he fails and Xiao Huizhu escapes, once he leaves this secret realm, not only will his reputation be ruined, but his engagement with Xiao Huizhu will also be over. He might even have to pay a price for this. He absolutely would not allow such a thing to happen. Get the best. If I can't have her, I absolutely cannot let Xiao Huizhu leave alive. A cold glint flashed in Xiao Bufan's eyes. His facial muscles twitched a few times, then he raised his hand and took an item out of his storage bag. That's right. Xiao Bufan is one of the very few people who possess a storage bag while still in the Qi refining stage. At this moment, Xiao Bufan held a talisman that shimmered with sword light in his right hand. He looked at He Pingxing with eyes like those of a death god. Junior brother, hand over this woman, and I will spare your life. Otherwise, once I unleash this talisman, you will surely die. Chapter 95 Distribution of Loot. Oh no! Xiao Huizhu, who was almost losing control, was now tightly hugging He Pingxing's waist and said urgently, This, it's a talisman. We can't let him use it. Otherwise, we will all die. He Pingxing was also taken aback. Even without Xiao Huizhu's reminder, he knew how powerful this talisman was. A Dao talisman is a special kind of talisman, which is an energy wrapped in the Dao techniques of a nascent soul cultivator. For example, the Dao talisman in Xiao Bufan's hand, although it is only a first-grade item, contains extremely powerful energy. Once unleashed, He Pingxing's defensive formation will undoubtedly be broken. If the formation is broken, He Pingxing and Xiao Huizhu will be in danger. What to do? We definitely can't let him activate the talisman. Junior brother. Xiao Bufan held up the talisman and continued, Don't worry, as long as you hand over this woman to me, I can give you 1,000 spirit stones. I am Xiao Bufan, the eldest disciple of the Ice Extreme Immortal Sect. If you hand her over, junior brother, I will owe you another favor. How? All right. He Pingxing nodded, then waved his hand, opening a crack in the formation. Please come in, senior brother. Xiao Bufan on the other side was overjoyed. The talisman in his hand was extremely precious. It was his life-saving item and his greatest trump card. It's best not to use this thing. Moreover, upon closer inspection, the cultivator opposite him was neither carrying a treasure bag nor possessing any magical artifacts. Besides, what good is it if a mere 7th-level cultivator has some skill? Do you think I even care? Xiao Bufan held the talisman in his hand and walked forward confidently. Just as he lowered his guard, He Pingxing suddenly waved his hand, and an ice arrow flew out. Talisman. Ice arrow talisman. Swoosh. The ice arrow was extremely fast, rushing out of the formation with lightning speed, giving Xiao Bufan no time to react before piercing through his body. Bang! The ice arrow exploded. Xiao Bufan was blown to pieces without putting up any resistance. At that very moment, the gaps in the top-grade array outside closed up again. Who? He Pingxing let out a deep sigh of relief, then felt dizzy and as if all his energy had been drained, and collapsed to the ground. The next moment, darkness fell before his eyes, and he collapsed to the ground, unconscious. That's because the cultivation over the past few days had only allowed He Pingxing's soul to recover a tiny bit. In order to activate the Ice Arrow Talisman, he had exhausted that tiny bit of soul that had just recovered. In a daze, He Pingxing felt his mouth was dry. It was as if he had arrived in a boundless desert. Hot. I feel hot all over. Then in his dream, he saw a clear spring in the desert, and he happily jumped into the spring and drank to his heart's content. Then he lay down comfortably on the beach next to the spring and fell asleep. I feel very satisfied and warm. He slept like that, and before he knew how much time had passed, he suddenly opened his eyes and sat up abruptly. A faint, sweet fragrance wafted through the air. He Pingxing turned his head and saw a woman dressed in green sitting upright less than 2 feet behind him, cultivating. Xiao Huizhu. Phew. He Pingxing breathed a sigh of relief again. Fortunately, Xiao Huizhu did not kill him after he had just passed out. Check it out. The storage bag is still there, no one has touched it. The precious treasure, the treasure basin, was still being nurtured within his dantian and remained unchanged. I'm so glad I met someone with a conscience. Just then, Xiao Huizhu seemed to sense something. She opened her eyes, smiled at He Pingxing, and said, "You're awake." He Pingxing patted his head and said, "I was tricked during a fight and my spiritual sense was injured. Please forgive me, senior sister Xiao." It's all right. Xiao Huizhu smiled generously. He Pingxing's gaze left Xiao Huizhu and turned to look outside the formation. He remembered that before he lost consciousness, he had killed Xiao Bufan. Looking around now, the outside has been cleaned up spotlessly. Looking down at her bottom, she noticed that her original prayer mat was gone, and the new one was pink. It's clearly something a woman would use. Where's my prayer mat? He Pingxing exclaimed in surprise. Xiao Huizhu said, "I threw it away." Why? He Pingxing asked. Xiao Huizhu said, "Because it was dirty, I changed it for you. If you like it, this is yours. If you don't like it, I'll buy you another one after I leave." He Pingxing nodded and said, "It's all right, there's no need to trouble senior sister Xiao. It's just a meditation cushion, there's no need to make a fuss about it." "Senior sister Xiao, how long has my little brother been asleep?" he asked Xiao Huizhu again. Xiao Huizhu said, "Not much, just 1 day and 1 night." "That's all right." He Pingxing breathed a sigh of relief. So it seems there's still some time before this secret realm closes. Junior brother. I still don't know your name. Xiao Huizhu looked at He Pingxing, her eyes sparkling with a certain expectation. He Pingxing curled his lip. He remembered that when they met in the secret realm, Xiao Huizhu had reminded him not to enter the swamp, and at that time they had exchanged names. My dear reader, there's more to, even more exciting content awaits. Sadly, they didn't even remember it. Well, He Pingsheng. He Pingsheng told her again. Xiao Huizhu smiled slyly and said, Junior brother He, don't worry, I forgot your name last time, but I won't forget it again. Here, this is Xiao Bufan's storage bag. I haven't opened it yet. You killed him, so logically all the spoils here should be yours. He Pingsheng scanned the storage bag with his divine sense. Xiao Bufan's faint divine sense was still there, which meant that Xiao Huizhu really hadn't opened it. Besides the storage bag, there was also a high-grade magic flying sword and a golden talisman next to it. This golden talisman is a Taoist talisman. Let's split it evenly. He Pingsheng reached out and opened the storage bag. Splash! The items inside were emptied out. 5,000 spirit stones. Some medicinal herbs and rare herbs. There are also elixirs. The most eye-catching thing is the 3 green apricots. He Pingsheng had never seen apricots before. What is this? He Pingsheng asked. Xiao Huizhu said, Shui Yuan Lingxing. Heh. He Pingsheng was even more puzzled. Isn't the water elemental apricot golden? Yes. Xiao Huizhu said, but the kind you're talking about is a ripe water elemental apricot. When Xiao Bufan and I went there, all the ripe water spirit apricots in the ice lake had already been picked by others. He did find a few that were not yet ripe and picked them on the spot. Actually, there's no use in picking them, it's just a waste. Oh. He Pingsheng said oh and then silently put away the 3 unripe, water element spirit apricots. It doesn't matter if it's not ripe yet. I'll put it in my treasure bowl to strengthen it later. What if it turns out to be ripe? Even if you don't get the upgrade, you're not at a disadvantage, right? Let's split the spirit stones equally. He Pingsheng said. Xiao Huizhu shook her head. I don't want the spirit stones and other items, but this Taoist talisman. If junior brother he doesn't need it, I'll take it. Of course, I can give you some compensation. Chapter 96 Escape Plan. Senior Sister Qiao, I'm so sorry. He Pingsheng said, if it's possible, I can give you anything else. I have a great use for this talisman. Dao talisman is a special kind of talisman. He Pingsheng had learned about it in the miscellaneous notes on cultivation. Take ordinary talismans for example. They are classified into different levels. There is an upper limit to the quality of a first-grade talisman. Even with items like the Fireball Talisman, Ice Arrow Talisman, Stubborn Stone Talisman, and Heavenly Thunder Talisman in He Pingsheng's possession, it would be impossible to kill any Foundation Establishment stage disciple. Because the talisman is of the first grade, its energy limit is too low. To kill a Foundation Establishment stage disciple, a second-grade talisman must be used. However, there is another problem with using second-grade talismans for disciples in the Qi refining stage. They are not easy to activate. To put it simply, a Qi refining stage disciple can activate a first-grade talisman in less than a breath. Activating a second-grade talisman not only consumes a large amount of spiritual power and divine sense, but also takes a long time. It's impossible to activate it in less than 3 to 5 breaths. This is a big problem. When 2 sides are facing off, the use of such a super-level talisman indicates that the enemy is exceptionally powerful. Do you have 3 to 5 breaths left? In most cases, no. But the Taoist talisman is different. The power of a Taoist talisman can break through the limits of the talisman's grade. For example, the Dao talisman that was seized from Xiao Bufan is a first-grade item. However, its power can reach that of a second-grade talisman. Why? To create a talisman, a particularly stringent condition is required. The talisman maker must be at the nascent soul stage. After a cultivator breaks through to the nascent soul stage, their cultivation method changes. The reason why nascent soul cultivators are so powerful is twofold. Firstly, because of their high cultivation level, and secondly, because they have already begun to come into contact with and comprehend the Tao. The reason why the Tao talismans made by nascent soul stage cultivators can break through the limits of talisman levels is because they can send their own Tao techniques into them to imprison energy. Thus, Once the talisman is activated, its energy bursts forth, unleashing power beyond its level. This small, first-grade Dao talisman can sometimes severely injure a Foundation establishment cultivator. Of course, such powerful weapons as Dao talismans are not common in the cultivation world. This is because the creation of this item will damage the Dao techniques of a nascent soul stage cultivator. Therefore, unless it is a very close relative, a nascent soul cultivator will absolutely not make it. For He Pingsheng, this item also has another important use. There is a Foundation establishment stage cultivator named Yuda waiting for him outside. If he has a Dao talisman, especially a strengthened Dao talisman, he will have a better chance of survival. All right. Xiao Huizhu nodded and said, "This thing was originally dispensable to me, but if it's of great use to you, you can keep it." "Thank you, senior sister Xiao." Since Xiao Huizhu said so, He Pingsheng naturally didn't stand on ceremony and put the item away with a wave of his hand. "Here's the storage bag for you." He Pingsheng pointed to the bag. Xiao Huizhu pouted and said, "I dare not take this bag. The eldest disciple of the Ice Extreme sect is dead. His master must be on his way right now. If he goes out with a storage bag, what do you think will happen?" He Pingsheng nodded and said, "What senior sister said makes sense." That. He thought for a moment and asked, "What is the cultivation level of the master of this eldest disciple of the Ice Extreme sect?" Xiao Huizhu said, "Golden Core stage." He Pingsheng didn't show any fear. He simply nodded and said, "All right, I'll handle this storage bag. You can have the rest, senior sister." He Pingsheng wouldn't give gifts without a reason. He also had something to ask of Xiao Huizhu. Xiao Huizhu put away the spirit stones and other items. He Pingsheng said, "Senior sister, did I save your life?" "Of course." Xiao Huizhu said, "There's no doubt about that." He Pingsheng said, "I am also in danger now. Senior sister, can you lend me a hand?" Xiao Huizhu looked at her strangely. "You? Your life is in danger?" "Yes." He Pingsheng nodded and said, "Senior sister doesn't know, but I killed a fellow disciple, and as far as I know, her grandfather is waiting for me outside the secret realm. He is in the Foundation establishment stage, so once I leave the secret realm, I will surely die." Heh. Xiao Huizhu was taken aback. All right, how do you want me to help you?" He Pingsheng said, "This is what I plan to do. I'll use a disguised talisman to dress up as a woman and go out of the secret realm with you. When the time comes, just say I'm a disciple of your Qianfu mountain, and then take me away. Is that all right?" "No problem." Xiao Huizhu nodded and said, "The elder leading our Qianfu mountain team this time is my own aunt, so taking you away is naturally no problem. However, was that disguised talisman you mentioned purchased from our Qianfu mountain?" "Yes." He Pingsheng replied. "That won't work." Xiao Huizhu said, "The disguised talisman I sold you can only fool disciples in the Qi refining stage. Your enemy is in the Foundation establishment stage. Although he can't see through it at a glance, he can still find clues if he looks closely." He Pingsheng said, "It's all right, this is the only way. Life and death are in the hands of fate." He Pingsheng decided to take a gamble. First, his disguised talisman was enhanced, so it might not be seen through by Yuda. Besides, when disguised, as long as others don't use their divine sense to examine it carefully, even a golden core cultivator wouldn't be able to detect anything. "I'm afraid of others using their divine powers. This greatly increases the chances of escaping Yuda's search." "All right." Xiao Huizhu nodded, then asked, "There are still 4 days before this secret realm closes. What are your plans?"
贺平生苦苦一笑，道：“我还能怎么过？神念伤势严重，我准备休息一下，养养神。”也好，乔慧珠道：“我出去看看，能否获得机缘，不管能不能得到机缘，最后一天我都会回来，和你一起联袂离开这里。”
走了。
乔慧珠站起来，朝贺平生摆摆手离开。过了大约10几个呼吸的时间，他又去而复返。乔师姐，怎么了？贺平生问道。乔慧珠问， 之前你昏迷的时候，没觉得有哪里不妥吗？贺平生一脸懵，没有啊，头疼，还有就是特别渴，感觉浑身热得难受，就像是置身于沙漠似的。
哦，
乔慧珠松了一口气，道：出了山洞外左边3里，有个清澈的小溪，如果你回头感觉身上黏黏腻腻的不舒服，就去那溪水里洗澡吧。记住了，你神念伤了，没事别乱跑，在这里安心养神，安全等我归来。这话说完，乔慧珠直接打开了纸鹤，一翅冲天而去。喜欢聚宝仙盆，请大家收藏3w.shuaigi1.net。聚宝仙盆，书海格小说网更新速度全网最快。
Chapter 97 Strengthening the Baby This. How did this woman know I was sticky and sticky? Wait a minute. Why am I feeling this way? It's filthy. He Pingxing was puzzled for a moment, but quickly stopped caring about it. Regardless of why I'm so dirty, I should go wash up first. Following Qiao Huizhu's directions, he walked about 2 or 3 miles to the left along the valley and indeed saw a clear stream. The mountains and fields were deserted, so he Pingxing took off his clothes, took a comfortable bath, changed into a clean moon-white robe, and returned to the cave. The first thing I did upon returning was to set up a formation. The defensive formation was too deep inside the cave to block the entrance. This time, he Pingxing moved the formation to the entrance, and when the formation's light membrane expanded, it blocked the entrance. At this point, it would be impossible for anyone outside to get in. Then, he piled up a thick brick wall with stones inside the formation. In this way, there is no need to worry about people or wild animals accidentally wandering into the cave. Even if someone were to enter the cave by some chance, they wouldn't be able to see his treasure bowl. With everything prepared, he Pingxing took out the treasure basin. He currently has 3 items that need to be enhanced. First, storage bag. This thing belongs to Xiao Bufan. You can't take it out openly. Otherwise, if you were the only disciple from all the sects carrying a storage bag, the other elders could easily expose you with a single scan using their divine sense. Isn't it you who killed Xiao Bufan? What he Pingxing wanted to do was to enhance this storage bag into a top-grade storage bag that could become invisible. Snap! The storage bag was placed into the treasure bowl. The second one, 3 green water spirit apricots. As for whether it can be strengthened into a mature water elemental apricot, he Pingxing didn't know. But we should at least give it a try. The last one, Taoist talisman. The talisman left behind by Xiao Bufan is a first-grade talisman, but it possesses attack power that surpasses the Qi refining stage. It can cause some damage to disciples in the foundation establishment stage. But that's not enough. To kill Yu De, the talisman must at least have the effect of killing someone in the foundation establishment stage with a single blow. Then the only solution is to strengthen it. Hopefully, its power will increase after the enhancement. He Pingxing then threw the Taoist talisman into the treasure basin. Then, he sat cross-legged on the pink futon. Looking at the pink futon, he Pingxing frowned again. This is really strange. My original futon was fine, so why did they change it to a pink one? Well, I don't understand. Women are such strange creatures. He Pingxing took a deep breath, banishing all the chaotic thoughts from his mind, and then continued to cultivate the mysterious gate tranquility true technique. The profound secrets of calming the mind can enhance the strength of one's spiritual power. Of course, for someone like He Pingxing whose spiritual power has been severely damaged, practicing this technique can also help them gradually recover. However, this speed is too slow. It would take several years. The best way to quickly restore one's spiritual power is to refine a batch of healing spirit pills. Consuming these pills will allow one to recover within a few months. If one possesses the finest healing pill, one's injured divine sense can be fully restored within a few days. He Pingxing did not expect to heal his divine sense through these last few days of cultivation. He only hoped to slightly repair a trace of it so that he could still use it. Before we knew it, a day and a night had passed. He Pingxing opened his eyes and his gaze immediately turned to the treasure basin. He frowned slightly. Originally, He felt that this treasure basin should be able to enhance all 3 items. However, he overestimated the cornucopia's current capabilities. It's been improved quite well. It only enhanced 1 type of item. The 3 green apricots have now turned golden yellow. And it has become 6. He Pingxing held one of the fruits in his hand, and a faint fragrance wafted over. On the fruit skin, there was a faint golden mark, mysterious and profound. That's wonderful. He Pingxing was overjoyed. The unripe water spirit apricot has truly been enhanced into a ripe one. Put it away. He put all 6 apricots into his storage bag. Unfortunately, although there are many apricots, there is a saying that such a rare and precious natural treasure can only be encountered once. What is meant by a fleeting encounter? In other words, it was effective after just 1 dose. The second time, it won't work. When he Pingxing reaches the perfect stage of qi refining, he may encounter 3 bottlenecks, the 10th, 11th, and 12th levels. Eating an apricot can break through a bottleneck. But no matter how much you eat, you can't break through the next bottleneck. This was just a brief encounter. Many rare and precious materials have this rule of only meeting once. Leaving aside the water elemental apricot, he Pingxing's gaze fell on the other 2 items. The talisman also has a storage bag. Neither of these 2 was enhanced. He Pingxing wasn't worried, because he had already strengthened the storage bag once with the treasure basin. He Pingxing believed that the reason there was no strengthening this time was because the amount of moonlight gathered by the treasure basin was insufficient. Let's try again tonight. Just as he Pingxing had guessed. The second night passed, and the storage bag was enhanced. An ordinary storage bag has been transformed into 2 storage bags that can disappear into the air. Moreover, each of these 2 concealable storage bags has a space that is 10 jong high, 10 jong wide, and 10 jong long. This chapter is not finished. Please click the next page to continue reading. Each one can hold a huge number of items. Hidden. With a buzz, the storage bag disappeared into He Pingxing's body. Unlike magical artifacts, this thing doesn't have many layers of restrictions. You can use the storage bag simply by attaching your divine sense to it. No refining required. Hidden. He also hid the second storage bag. Inside the treasure basin, the Taoist talisman remained completely still. But don't worry, He Pingxing believes that it will definitely change after another night. After the 3rd night, the talisman inside the treasure basin finally changed. 1 talisman turned into 2. 1 cyan Taoist talisman, and 1 golden Taoist talisman. He Pingxing excitedly reached out and took the 2 Taoist talismans in his hand. He placed the cyan talisman on his forehead and examined it. The information on the talisman was then revealed. Name: Myriad Swords Talisman. Rank: Top grade. Effect: can be activated instantly. Once activated, it can condense hundreds of sword shadows to kill enemies. A single strike can kill a Foundation Establishment stage being. Hiss hiss hiss. Upon seeing this introduction, He Pingxing was overjoyed, but at the same time, he gasped in surprise. Powerful. It really can kill a Foundation Establishment stage disciple. And it's instantaneous. He. Now, if we happen to run into that old Taoist priest Yu De on a narrow road, we don't need to be afraid. After putting away the cyan 10,000 swords Dao talisman, He Pingxing then affixed the golden Dao talisman to his forehead. Name: Golden Sword Talisman. Grade: Top grade. Effect: instantly activated. Once activated, it can condense a golden sword shadow 10 feet long. When the sword shadow lands, it can kill beings in the Foundation Establishment stage. Chapter 98. Deceiving the Heavens. With these 2 Daoist talismans, He Pingxing now had a new trump card. His confidence in surviving after getting out of there increased considerably. As the last day passed, Xiao Huizhu hurriedly returned to the cave. Junior brother He, look, what is this? Xiao Huizhu returned to the cave, and the first thing she did was take out a red fruit and give it to He Pingxing. He Pingxing took the fruit and said, "This is a dogwood fruit." Not bad. Xiao Huizhu smiled and said, "I was lucky and got 2. Here, take one." He Pingxing felt a surge of warmth in his heart. Thank you. You're welcome. After giving the dogwood fruit, Xiao Huizhu took out a jade box and said, Junior brother, there are 13 leaves in this box. These are leaves from the enlightenment tea tree. In the future, when you cultivate, use these leaves to make tea. On the one hand, it can reduce the toxins in your body, and on the other hand, it can open your mind and eyes, and clarify your Tao heart, so that you can achieve twice the result with half the effort when you cultivate. This item is very precious. I wish you a speedy advancement to the foundation establishment stage. He Pingxing said, Is this appropriate? Should I pass on this valuable item? The girl's face suddenly turned serious. She stared at He Pingxing and said in an almost commanding tone, Take it. Don't refuse. All right. He Pingxing obediently accepted it. The girl smiled happily and said, All right, now, I'll help you disguise yourself. By the way, look what this is. Xiao Huizhu then took out a woman's Taoist robe from her treasure bag. This is the Taoist robe I usually wear. You can change out of it after you've disguised yourself. We're about the same size, so it should fit you well too. Xiao Huizhu was very tall, almost the same height as He Pingxing. He Pingxing nodded, then took out a disguise talisman that he had enhanced. Before Xiao Huizhu could see it, he slapped the talisman onto himself. A miraculous scene unfolded. After the disguise talisman was applied to his body, He Pingxing's skin and even bones became soft and malleable. With a thought, one can change their appearance at will. A surge of magical power appeared on He Pingxing's face, and in the next moment he transformed into a living, breathing Xiao Huizhu. Ua! Xiao Huizhu said with a look of disgust, Don't turn into me, it makes me feel bad. Okay. He Pingxing thought for a moment and then casually transformed into the face of an ordinary-looking woman. If you have an ordinary appearance, you are less likely to attract the attention of others. After changing her appearance, she put on Xiao Huizhu's Taoist robe and looked exactly like a woman. That's brilliant! Xiao Huizhu exclaimed. Anyway, I can't see through your true face. All right. He Pingxing nodded, then took out 2 teleportation jade talismans, and said, Senior Sister Xiao, shall we go out now? The teleportation jade talismans are not divided by sect, they are uniformly refined and distributed by the Dao Xian Alliance. Each of them received a teleportation talisman. He Pingxing put away the array in the cave, and then the 2 of them crushed the jade talisman at the same time. Buzzing. 2 light membranes stretched out on the 2 people respectively. A few breaths later, the 2 light membranes carried the 2 people away. He Pingxing felt the light in front of him suddenly go dark and then brighten again. When he looked again, he was already in the square outside the entrance to the secret realm. Standing beside him was Xiao Huizhu. Don't speak. Xiao Huizhu reached out and grabbed He Pingxing's hand, whispering, Your voice hasn't changed. And don't look around. Come with me. Xiao Huizhu pulled He Pingxing and walked directly to the Qianfu mountain camp. Buzzing. Buzzing. People kept teleporting in from the secret realm, making it dazzling to watch. He Pingxing followed Xiao Huizhu and soon arrived at the Qianfu mountain camp. The patriarch who came to escort the disciples from Qianfu mountain this time was a Taoist nun who was about 40 years old. He Pingxing had heard Xiao Huizhu say that this woman was her aunt. Aunt. Xiao Huizhu walked to the golden core Daoist nun and whispered a few words. The Taoist nun gave He Pingxing a deep look and said, All right, just sit behind me. Once all the disciples of Qianfu mountain are gathered, we will leave together. He Pingxing cupped his hands in greeting, said nothing, and then sat down behind the Taoist nun. The disciples of Qianfu mountain all looked at He Pingxing with curiosity, because none of them recognized him. No talking, no gossip. The Daoist nun glanced behind her and said, Anyone who dares to ask questions will face my ruthlessness. Although the disciples of Qianfu mountain found it strange, none of them dared to do anything. After sitting on the ground, He Pingxing finally dared to look around. Because it was the last day, disciples were constantly being teleported out of the secret realm. In the distance, on the territory of the Taishu sect, Shu Kunlun, Zhao Linga, and Xianxia looked around. There was an old man in a yellow Taoist robe in front of them. This is precisely the virtue of jade. At this moment, Yuda's face was full of anger as he stared intently at every cultivator who emerged from the secret realm, his whole body radiating murderous intent, as if he wanted to devour them. He Pingxing didn't dare to stare at him, but only glanced at him briefly before looking away. Nephew Qiao. Just then, an old Taoist priest with white hair and beard, who looked like a hermit, suddenly stepped from a distance and landed at the location of Qianfu Mountain. He Pingxing's eyes narrowed slightly. My dear reader, there's more to, even more exciting content awaits. Xiao Huizhu, however, stood up without changing her expression, bowed respectfully to the old Taoist priest, and said, "It is Master Wu Xiong. This disciple pays respects to you. No need to rush." The 5 Phases Daoist looked at Xiao Huizhu and said, "In this secret realm, have you seen my disciple, Bufan?" Xiao Huizhu nodded and said, "This disciple has met you." "Oh?" asked the 5 Phases Taoist. "When?" Xiao Huizhu said, "Let's go to Ice Lake together to find the water spirit apricot." The 5 Elements Taoist asked, "Have you found it?" "No." Xiao Huizhu shook her head, "I didn't find any, but senior brother Xiao did find 3 unripe, water element spirit apricots, but they're useless." The 5 Phases Daoist fell silent. He stared at Xiao Huizhu for a full 3 breaths before finally saying, "Nephew, do you know that my disciple Xiao Bufan has already perished?" "What?" Xiao Huizhu exclaimed in shock, "Senior brother Xiao has died." "Wu Xiangwen, you don't know." Xiao Huizhu shook her head, "This disciple does not know when it happened. It has been a long time since he perished. I saw him at Ice Lake just 4 days ago." Wu Xiong did not answer Xiao Huizhu's question, but shook his head and said, "All right, I already know what I'm doing." After saying that, he turned around and left. As soon as Wu Xiong left, countless people on Qianfu Mountain turned their attention to Xiao Huizhu. As everyone knows, Xiao Bufan is engaged to Xiao Huizhu. Now that he has fallen, it means that senior sister Qiao has a new choice. Doesn't this give us a chance? Chapter 99 Pursuit. The time for the end of the secret realm is getting closer and closer. Disciples kept appearing suddenly in the square. However, the number of these suddenly appearing people is decreasing. After all, no one will come out at the exact right time. Finally, when the time came for the secret realm to close, 18 guards dressed in golden Taoist robes stood at the entrance of the secret realm's array. "Everyone, the secret realm has ended. Please leave immediately." Dozens of sects and over 100 families departed one by one in their own flying boats. Qianfu Mountain is no exception. Finally, in the entire square, only the Taishu Gate's ship remained unstarted. "I say, nephew Yu De, it's time for us to go." Elder Xianxia, who was at the Golden Core stage, looked at Yu De and said, "Anyone who enters this secret realm is bound to encounter accidents. It's understandable that Linglong had an accident. You can't keep this old man waiting here forever. Elder, please go back first. I'll wait here by myself." Yu De remained undeterred. He knew, of course, that Linglong was gone. He was waiting for He Pingxing. But from beginning to end, there was no sign of He Pingxing. "All right." Xianxia waved his hand and started the flying boat to leave. In the vast square, only Yu De remained. He felt that He Pingxing was afraid of him and dared not come out. It's all right if you don't dare to come out, but you have to come out eventually. If you don't come out, these guards patrolling the secret realm will enter, and you will be doomed. But Yu De waited there for 2 hours and still did not see He Pingxing. That's really strange. Where did that kid go? Yu De frowned. Could he have gone with someone else's ship? That's impossible. If another sect suddenly has an extra disciple, they'll definitely investigate. Then, could it be that he died in the secret realm? That's certainly a possibility. After all, Yu De has been here for many days. Does anyone know what's happened these past few days? It's not surprising that He Ping is dead. Who? Yu De felt a tightness in his chest, then took a deep breath and rode his flying sword towards the direction of Taishu sect. He was going to Yuning Palace to see whether He Pingxing was dead or alive. An hour later, Yuda arrived at Taishu Gate. He flew on his sword and landed directly at the entrance of Yuning Palace. Senior brother. Yuning walked out of the palace with a puzzled look on her face and looked at Yuda. Yuda asked, Junior sister, is He Pingxing's life-bound jade pendant in your palace still intact? Yuning said, it's completely intact. What happened? What happened? Yuda said angrily, that brat killed Linglong, and then I waited at the entrance of the secret realm for several days, but I didn't see him come out. His jade token was intact, but he didn't leave the secret realm. What do you think happened? Yuning's expression changed drastically, and he said, Senior brother, don't make false accusations. Linglong was killed, how can you be so sure that she is my disciple? Besides, what is He Pingxing's cultivation level? He's only at the 7th level of qi refining. Your disciples are all at the peak of qi refining. Even if you give him a chance, how could He Pingxing possibly succeed? In fact, Yuda was not sure whether He Pingxing killed Linglong. Everything is speculation. After Yuning said that, he had no way to refute it, and simply said, I'll go and see if He Pingxing's jade pendant is intact. Without waiting for Yuning's reply, he took a step forward and walked into Yuning's palace. After a few steps, he reached the back and took He Pingxing's intact jade pendant in his hand. What are you going to do? Yuning asked with a gloomy expression. Yuda said, Junior sister, don't be nervous. This is just He Pingxing's natal jade pendant. Even if I crush it now, it won't have any effect on him. Yuning nodded. Yuda is right. If the natal jade pendant is deliberately destroyed, it will not have any effect on the person. It only serves as an indicator. Indicates the life or death status of the entity. I will explain the cause and effect of everything to you later. I'm leaving now. After saying that, Yuda took He Pingxing's natal jade pendant and left. Yuning immediately sensed something was wrong, but by the time she left the palace, her senior brother Yuda had already turned into a beam of light and disappeared into the horizon. No, no. Yuning was sweating profusely with anxiety. Although this natal jade pendant will not affect the main body, if it is used as a guide and some secret techniques are performed, He Pingxing's location can be quickly located. What does Yuda want with my disciple's position? He must be avenging his granddaughter Linglong. Then wouldn't my disciple He Pingxing be on the verge of death? Whoosh! At this moment, Yuning also flew into the sky on her sword, chasing after the direction where Yuda disappeared. She couldn't stand by and watch her senior brother harm his own disciple. Thank you very much, Senior Qiao. Thank you so much, Senior Sister Qiao. The flying boat of Qianfu Mountain hovered in the void somewhere. Standing on the flying boat, He Pingxing cupped his hands in greeting to Qiao Huizhu and the Golden Core Stage Daoist Nun. I will never forget your kindness in protecting me. I'll take my leave now. Qiao Huizhu remained silent, but the Golden Core Stage Daoist Nun spoke up. No need to be polite. You saved our Qianfu Mountain disciple, so we were just covering for you. It's nothing. If you ever find yourself nowhere to go, come find me at Qianfu Mountain. The Taoist nun was very generous. He Pingxing cupped his hands in thanks. Thank you, Senior. I'll take my leave now. Then, He Pingxing took out a paper crane, mounted it, and soared into the sky, leaving the flying boat. Qiao Huizhu's eyes flickered a few times as she glanced in the direction He Pingxing had left, then said, Let's set sail. The large ship started up again, rumbling all the way towards Qianfu Mountain. On He Pingxing's side, he rode the paper crane and flew in the void for about half an incense stick's time before feeling dizzy and light-headed again. There's no way around it. Divine sense is too fragile. Even riding a crane requires the use of divine will to control it. To protect his divine sense from further damage, he had no choice but to pilot the paper crane to the ground. This is a remote, uninhabited mountain range.
怎么办？贺平生的眉头微微一皱。本来他的打算很简单，就是跑到码头山方市购买一些御神丹，将神念恢复之后， 就直接离开道玄联盟的地盘，重新寻个修真之所，自己慢悠悠的修炼。以后做个散修也不是不行，毕竟手里有聚宝盆这种宝贝，只要小心些，苟着点，总有成就大能的一天。可没想到，现在的神念都无法支撑他去往马头山方士。罢了罢了。思虑再三之后，贺平生便在此处山体上面开凿出了一处洞口，然后走入其中。先恢复一下神念吧，在此地修炼养魂1个月，然后寻个马车前往马头山方士，一步一步来，慢慢的做打算。玉德虽然是筑基期弟子，现在贺平生也不怕他，毕竟你筑基期弟子的神念撑开，也不过覆盖几十丈的距离而已，最多算你100丈，你还能跑这里找到我不成？喜欢聚宝仙盆，请大家收藏3w.shuigi.net。聚宝仙盆，书海格小说网更新速度全网最快。
Chapter 100 Myriad Swords Talisman. Not far from the entrance to the Dao Xian Alliance's secret realm. On a mountain top, an elderly man dressed in a yellow Taoist robe was wielding a sword, circulating his magical power in a magical posture. Countless magical powers were unleashed, drawn in by a rune shimmering with black and red light, and spewed out into this world. A talisman was shimmering within it. The Destiny Talisman is He Pingsheng's Destiny Talisman. The old Taoist is naturally Yu De. The method of finding one's true form through bloodline is an ancient secret technique rarely used in the cultivation world, because it's not needed in most situations. This secret technique can indicate the location of the main body within a range of 2,000 miles. Yu De cast his spell here to see if He Pingsheng was inside the secret realm. If it were there, a coverage area of 2,000 miles would be sufficient to detect it. Unfortunately, he did not detect any trace of He Pingsheng. In other words, He Pingsheng is not in the secret realm. When did he come out? Yu De frowned. The moment his granddaughter died, he flew to the entrance of the secret realm and repeatedly confirmed with people that no cultivators had been teleported out of the secret realm during that time. In other words, He Pingsheng remained in the secret realm until now, but he is no longer there. It's obvious that he left with another sect. Disguise? Make up? In an instant, many methods flashed through Yu De's mind. He closed his eyes, sorting through each one, guessing each one, recalling each one. However, no clues were found. Good lad. Yu De took a deep breath, a hint of seriousness appearing in his eyes. You act so steadily, managing to deceive everyone right under my nose. Okay. I'd like to see where you can hide. Yu De waved his hand, grabbed the jade talisman again, and then flew into the sky once more. He rode a flying sword and headed south along the road. He had no specific purpose, he was simply searching slowly within the entire Dao Xian Alliance. As long as He Pingsheng appears within a 2,000-mile radius, he can be found. Of course, if this guy escapes outside the Dao Xian Alliance's sphere of influence, then there's no way to find him. Something that would make Yu De happy soon came. On the afternoon of the 4th day of his arduous search, the jade pendant in his hand finally flashed. He had pinpointed He Pingsheng's location. Ha ha ha. I've finally found you. Snort. He Pingsheng. I've arrived. The speed of flying on the sword was very fast. In less than half an hour, Yu De landed on the flying sword not far from the cave where He Pingsheng was in seclusion. He did not act immediately. After all, he was at the foundation establishment stage, while He Pingsheng was merely at the 7th level of the Qi refining stage. What Yu De wanted to do was first ask He Pingsheng what had happened, and then slowly torture him to death. To kill He Pingsheng with a single slap would be too lenient on him. Nephew I am Yu De. Please come out and speak. Yu De's voice wasn't loud, but it was loud enough to carry into the cave. He Pingsheng, who was practicing the mysterious gate tranquility true technique, was startled when he heard this. Oh no. How did this old bastard find his way here? I'll give you 10 breaths. In 10 breaths, I will completely destroy this cave. He Pingsheng jumped to his feet and then carefully walked out of the cave. The sun had set, the sky was dim, and the dark canyon was almost as dark as night. Standing outside was an elderly man in a yellow Taoist robe, who was none other than Yu De. Beside Yu De stood a large, golden python. The python stood up, with about half of its body standing up, almost as tall as Yu De, but the majority of its body was lying on the ground. Hiss, 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 hiss. When the python saw He Pingsheng, it opened its mouth and hissed, spewing out a burst of cold air. After the secret realm ended, why didn't you return to the sect? Why are you hiding in this valley so suspiciously? After seeing He Pingsheng, Yu De didn't know why, but the anger in his heart disappeared. He speaks very calmly now. He Pingsheng's life was even more ordinary. He asked, "Then why did you sneak around here looking for me, Uncle Master?" Yu De asked, "Did you kill Linglong?" He Pingsheng did not answer his question, but instead asked, "Did you kill my parents?" Yu De frowned slightly, narrowing his eyes as he stared at He Pingsheng. "You little brat, how dare you speak to me like that?" "That's enough, that's enough. Since that's the case, I won't ask any further. Watch how I kill people today. Go!" Yu De suddenly slapped the golden python. The golden python trembled slightly and then slithered toward He Pingsheng. Its pair of vertical pupils emitted 2 points of light in the darkness. Bright and eerie. One look at it sends chills down your spine. The giant python did not attack immediately. It simply moved slowly around He Pingsheng's body. He Pingsheng stopped hiding, because the python could attack at any time. "Open!" He gave a soft shout. A cyan talisman flew out. In less than a breath, the cyan jade talisman exploded, and countless cyan sword lights gathered above He Pingsheng's head. My dear reader, there's more to, even more exciting content awaits. Every sword strike was aimed at the golden python. Hundreds of them. 10,000 swords Dao talisman. Can a Dao talisman kill a Foundation establishment cultivator? Have no idea. There's nothing we can do but fight. Kill if you can. If I can't kill him, I'll die. Today is a desperate situation. Whether we can escape or not depends entirely on fate. This is a Dao talisman. Yu De's face immediately showed shock, and a top-grade Dao talisman at that. How come you have something like this on you? Yu De was a little scared. He knew far more about Daoist talismans than He Pingsheng did. Let alone a top-grade Dao talisman, even a mid-grade one can cause significant damage to a Foundation establishment cultivator. It was simply unstoppable. This is top quality, needless to say. Nephew, let's talk this out. Yu De's expression immediately changed. After all, he only came here to kill He Pingsheng unilaterally and didn't want to get hurt himself. There are many misunderstandings about your parents' matter. I can't explain it to you in a short time. Think about it, I'm just an inner sect Foundation establishment cultivator. How could I possibly have any vested interests with your parents, who are outer sect disciples? Therefore, I will not kill him without a reason. It's all a misunderstanding. He Pingsheng took a deep breath and said, "Is it really a misunderstanding?" Upon seeing He Pingsheng's question, Yu De immediately breathed a sigh of relief and quickly said in a soft and gentle tone, "It really is a misunderstanding, nephew. Please stop your supernatural powers, and I promise you." Before he could finish speaking, He Pingsheng said, "Master, what brings you here too?" He Pingsheng's words came suddenly, and Yu De, without much thought, instinctively turned his head to look back. Just then, hundreds of sword lights above He Pingsheng's head suddenly burst forth, heading straight for Yu De. Damn it, they tricked me. Yu De roared and cursed. Countless cyan sword lights, like a cyan cloud, enveloped Yu De's head. At this point, Yu De has two choices. First, run. Second, defense. If you run, you'll abandon all defense, and any sword strike could have unimaginable consequences. If it's for defense, how to defend against it? There was simply no time to break the seal on the magic weapon, because everything happened too fast. Moreover, even if he managed to open up the defense, Yu De knew he couldn't defend against it. Serious injury was inevitable. Thank you for listening to Panda Audiobooks. If you love what you hear and want to support my work, check out the PayPal link in the description. Every bit helps. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notifications bell to stay updated with all our latest audiobook chapters. We'll see you in the next one.